Greetings and welcome back to our playthrough as Japan in Victoria 3, in what will be either an epilogue for our Getting Started series to wrap some things up and demonstrate what I talked about in the last episode, or which will be a prologue as we launch into a longer Let's Play series. So, before I get started, I do want to admit something. I have saved scummed. I have not done it because anything went wrong, per se, but rather because an event sprung that gave my war goal to Russia automatically before the war was even started. That war goal was South Jilin, or is that North Jilin, I believe, actually? Yes, Northern. Again, I do know my cardinal directions. So, because that happened, it was just unfortunate because we still took the infamy hit for saying we wanted the land, but in the end, we didn't get it. Everything else went splendidly during the entire run, though. Nonetheless, I'm going to do this again and take something else then so that I don't lose out on that valuable resource. Now let's get started, though, with the economic situation. I promised that there were 3 approaches that you could take and that I would choose one. But because I haven't gotten any feedback yet, because I haven't posted the last video yet, I'm going to do a balance of them all. The first thing we desperately need is more construction sectors. And we're going to put those construction sectors, again, where the current ones are. I said that we're going to need at least 40 construction, which is at least 6 sectors, but we'll do 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and last in Hokkaido, 7, 8. We'll pop 2 more in Hokkaido when I'm comfortable with our balance. All of those are going to be put to the top of our list. There we go. There's something else that while we're on this development screen that we're going to need very soon when we go to war. And that's ports, because we're going to have to supply our armies in Manchuria. We're going to need at least 4 of them, and I know this because of the save scumming, I do admit. But it is something I mentioned earlier as very important. Keep on top of your ports if you think you wanted to go on foreign adventures. We're going to put these ports in the most valuable provinces, and 2 in Chugoku. They'll benefit from the cheaper merchant marines there, since that is a major exporting place. And I accidentally clicked it in Kanto because they reordered. There we go. That's better. In addition, I said I wanted to get up universities. I said I wanted to get up 18. We're not going to quite hit that, but we're going to get close by making sure we have 1 on the island, 2 in every other province that only has 1. And then we're going to push more universities in our current capital and in our future capital. That looks pretty decent for now, but we want to get on it and get even more once the war is done. Trade centers we've not built, but the AI is doing pretty well, so we'll let them just continue as they like. Speaking of trade, though, we did, at one point in history, put some subventions on importing paper in order to facilitate that event. Let's get rid of those. I believe that's the only one we've done, and because we're on free trade, there's less we can do with tariffs and subventions, but there is still a lot you can do. I tend to promote the glass industry a little bit, and tell you what, let's maybe look at doing that. We'll see how much it costs in the long term and whether we have to turn it off, but let's put low subventions for export on and see if we encourage that furniture company to make a little bit of extra glass. Alright, let's move these ports though even higher than our construction. There we go, because they're going to have to be done sooner rather than later, but I will pop up 2 construction because I'm eager to get this higher. Lastly, I did say that we would also construct a few additional amenities for our population. Those include food, textiles, and, not necessary now because we've already done it, furniture. Let's look at the textiles and see where they're at, and, you know, we do have some, so let's not worry about it too much, but Kanto is a very popular place for people, so let's put at least 1 there. Let's make sure that they put that in as a textile mill that is not luxury. There we go, that's better. Now, for our food industries, we want to get those up in the provinces where they're most valuable, and that might be most valuable in the future. As I mentioned, Chubo is always neglected, but is a good food place due to the amount of fish, so let's pop 2 food in Chubu. Kanto, again, doesn't have huge demand, but it will, and it's a good place for food due to its agricultural bonus. Kansai already has one coming up. Thank you, AI. We'll just do 3 for now, because I want this queue to hopefully finish by the end of the episode. We'll do some additional local fish in all the provinces that do not have it. And I noticed that Chubo doesn't quite have enough fish, and since we're building up some food there, we'll give Chubo some extra fish as well. Lastly, let's see how the whaling's doing. Let's do 2 more. Great, we're not forgetting about the sushi. And the final thing, always to remember, is to keep on top of your navy. Let's do 4 more frigates. And I didn't order by peasants there, which is unwise. And let's do 4 man-of-wars. We might end up moving those up a little bit if the war looks like it needs it. And since we're going to war, unfortunately, we're going to need an admiral, and it's going to have to be the substandard intelligentsia guy, but I'm going to recruit him. We're going to check who else is available, because, again, due to my aborted run, I do know that somebody else would pop up, and that person is a naval commander, which is very, very good, actually. So we're going to make an exception. These naval battles don't matter quite as much, and we're going to hire him as well. That way we don't need to promote this intelligentsia guy, even though the intelligentsia would benefit from the boost to their popularity. I'm going to branch off 4 of these frigates and move over, not the very good admiral, but the intelligentsia guy with them. I'm guessing I'm going to need 1 more though. There we go. That's better. You'll see why when we go to war. We're a naval nation. We depend on convoys. Those convoys will be supplying our army. We can't really let our convoys be sunk. So we need to both defend our convoys while also blockading some ports so that we can make sure the enemy has a little bit of a suffering going on in their provinces. Alright, I think we've done enough there. I don't want to spend too much time on this preliminary stuff before we get rolling, but I did want to take a quick look at whether there's anything we should be upgrading. Nothing pops quickly to my eyes, though I know there is stuff that we should consider. For instance, universities still have clerical educators, but let's get them to secular. Now that we're building more up, that's going to become increasingly important. Let's get rocking and rolling. Let's not forget that we are upgrading sulfur, and we'll have to upgrade our paper very soon, and we're getting some steel up, and we'll have to upgrade our tooling. Also, do note the minute that you start a war, the honorable restoration will pause. That's a bit unfortunate, but we're willing to bite that for now. In order to launch our war properly, though, we're going to need to declare some additional interests. Just for now, I'm going to pop them both in China, there and there. I'm also going to improve relations with Japan because I noticed that they're a bit sad. Starting off at a low rate, let's get our clock moving. Let's make sure our build order is in the order we wanted it. And more or less it is. Whoops, no, that is not the first page. There we go. As soon as our interests become active, we can declare our war. We're a bit shy on the authority, and we're actually taking some penalties from it, so let's deal with that by canceling our social mobility in Chugoku. And we unlocked Central Archives. This is useful not just for the bureaucracy, of course, so we can get the next educational institution up, but it's very useful for some additional tax income. So we're going to go right away and upgrade the big facility here in Kansai. It has the most government admins at 19, so it's going to be the most expensive, but as you can see, paper is quite cheap, and that's not very profitable for our paper company. This will make it a little bit more profitable for them. We'll get some more upgraded relatively quickly because we get this extra plus 25 tax capacity when we upgrade them, and we want this money because we're going to be expanding our construction. An event. This is related to your first admiral and the whaling industry. We can get some extra throughput, but I like to have a popular admiral. Let's make him popular. Which one is it? The samurai fellow. And he is, what? A protectionist. That's not bad. Maybe he'll take over the party one day. Ah, I did forget that we actually wanted to start passing a law as well. Can't forget about the domestic scene when you're getting ready for war. We're going to get the intelligentsia into power. and we are going to try to pass cultural exclusion. That would be beneficial because we might get some migrants when we take some land from China. Now, because there's a lot of opposition to that from our surprisingly strong supremacist movement, I'm going to actually stop suppressing the absolutists for a bit and suppress them for a bit. It's not going to make much of a difference in the time we have available for passing the law, but hopefully it helps. And hopefully this law goes through as relatively smoothly as it did during my aborted run. Our new interests are now active, so we can now progress with our international adventures. And the adventure we're going to take is by demanding that they transfer Korea to us. This is my preferred approach. Whoa, that situation has changed a little bit. That is relatively unfortunate. They've suddenly decided that they like Korea quite a lot. Whereas if you'll notice we say we're going to conquer the state that we can't conquer, they relatively prefer us, but not as much as they used to. We have to stop and think for just a moment then, because if we only ask for a treaty port, then Qing will back down and we'll never have enough maneuvers in our diplomatic play to make another one of our priorities a main demand. In addition, I don't really like doing that because you bite some extra infamy that doesn't really go into anything new that you've acquired. I think anyways, we're going to have to do that. My preference is that Joseon be a subject and that I don't take that land directly, and I'd love to get it now. It might mean that we just have to make a sacrifice somewhere else in our play. So, let's declare for a treaty port here. Russia will probably come and help us. That's good. That is 7 infamy, which is pretty severe, but we'll deal with it. We're not going to be able to do what I wanted to do though, but I'll get to that in a moment. The clock is ticking now. So let's get our military mobilized after we make sure they've got a few morale boosters like sugar and tobacco. That's good. We can't give them extra food quite yet, and we don't have any opium. Mobilize all of our armies. And let's see if we can get some extra generals in here for them. An open terrain commander can be pretty good. I think most of China in the east is open terrain. He might be beneficial. Let's take a look if we get any more. An extra defensive strategist always never hurts as well. Also a protectionist and relatively well liked, so he could actually take power of the control of the samurai political group later. Sure, why not? Our armies are mobilized. Let's get our fleets deployed as well. They're very low on organization though, because I didn't put a commander in them a little bit sooner. That's a bit unfortunate. It could cost us. We have to be a bit careful here. Maybe we're going to leave them in port a little while longer so that they don't get defeated and sent back and are useless the entire war. I will, however, get this unit, because it's advancing a little bit quicker, deployed up to here and tell them to escort our convoys. Qing has withdrawn from our trade agreement, which gives us a bit of extra lead, yay, and a few less tools, sad. I don't think that's going to matter much in the big picture. I do hope that the furniture company will be building some lead. We can now sway Russia in, and they'll do it for several things: war goals or obligations. Interestingly, this time, they're not interested in conquering any states or opening the markets, but I actually always wanted to give them one of their provinces in the west back anyways, and we'll give them the bigger province, Hilli. It makes for nicer borders. Russia's sided with us now, so we can see about moving these units. If you click all your units, you can get orders, so you can give them all the same orders at the same time. Unfortunately, one of those options isn't deploy to front. So you still have to do that singly, one at a time. I realize we could probably just let Russia do this whole thing, but I don't want to do that. I believe we should put some blood on the line for our conquests. We're letting a little bit of time click by, and you can see the hit we're taking to our convoys, and that's hitting our organization. Let's check how our ports are coming along. They are, but not as quickly as I would like. But they'll be ready in time. For a moment, they seemed as if they were. Now, I also want to give them all the same strategic objective, but it seems like they're not quite keen for that quite yet. Again, something you can't do collectively with all of them. You have to click one at a time. Let's select our additional war goals. As I mentioned, the real war goal that I really want here is for them to transfer Joseon. So we're going to get on that and ask for that. The Prussians seem to like that. I guess they like it when other countries take lots of land. Now, unfortunately, we're going to probably have to make this primary. But let's see if there's another option we can make primary anyways, to see if it's not so expensive. That's 16.2, and we don't really want to fight that much infamy for nothing special. We could liberate some countries, and that's what I'd originally like to do. To actually say, hey, release Formosa, because I want to grab that later. But unfortunately, that's not going to be an option for us, because if we do that, we won't have enough maneuvers left in order to make it primary. Well, let's see, make primary 20. And I'm guessing if I want to liberate Formosa, that's 30. Yes, that would only give us 7 left. What is something else that we could do where we would still have a few left in our maneuver pool to make primary? All of these cost 30. I don't want to take more infamy transferring a subject, nor do I want to send a fleet down to Langfang right now to secure that war goal. We can enforce another treaty article here and make it primary. Normally, the AI hates investment rights, but I don't want to do that right now, so we're going to make a money transfer. I don't really like getting money transfers because they mess with your economic logic a little bit. But we have no choice. We're going to have to ask for some. How much should we ask for? You can see it does increase your infamy quite a bit, so I'm not going to ask for a lot. I don't really want too much. Let's go for 5,000. Let's make that money demand primary. Now we can advance the war. As soon as our construction is done, we have to keep in mind, again, some of the other stuff we're upgrading will be coming online while we're distracted during the war. We've got a stall to open up here. And the thing we're going to have to take is making the intelligentsia a little bit unhappy and increasing how long this entire process lasts. The intelligentsia is so happy that a -3 doesn't even push them below the max 20 that's possible. Let's check our fleet here and see how they're doing. Organization is at 42. That's probably sufficient. Let's deploy them off here. Whoops, I don't need to do that. You can also just click and then click on the node you want to send them to. I'm going to tell them to intercept for now. We'll have them blockade later, but we need the extra buff to our offense until we get a little bit more of our organization. We'll do coordinated interception then to really boost that up a bit. The war is broken out, so let's take a look at our soldiers up here. They're still suffering from slight organizational shortages, but not bad. What I like to do, of course, is to put some of these guys on defense. Both of these guys are defensive, which doesn't really help. And these guys as well aren't split. I didn't divide my generals very well there, did I? Let's see if we've got another defensive guy here. We do, but again, it's samurai. We're getting far too many samurais. We'll recruit him anyways and have him defend. At least we'll have somebody up here doing some defensive, and we'll put one of the generals, both of whom are very good defenders, on defensive up here. Probably the experienced one is better. I'm going to give them a strategic order soon, but I want to wait for the Russians to do some stuff first before we dive into Korea. I'm going to slow down the clock during this time too, because I like to both keep an eye on my economic situation and what's happening over here. Navally, we're doing just fine. They're not attacking us or sinking our convoys quite yet. We've unlocked canneries, and we want to immediately upgrade our our food facilities, since we know we need more of it. And one day, I'll click on the right button. Sadly, people won't be getting their fresh sushi anymore. They're going to be eating it from a can. Welcome to the modern era. We may even need one more port. We'll see in just a bit. Why am I only... Okay, I was like, where is my other army? No! Alright. Let's scroll up here and let's see how things are going. I do miss my honorable restoration progress, but that's just the way it is. Our Russians aren't doing too terribly well there, but trust me, it'll be fine in just a bit. Let's speed it up, though. Nobody likes to watch us losing. Our gold mines are coming up, and our steel mine will be up in just a bit. Good. This war will take a little while, unfortunately, but it'll be fine. We'll be done before you know it. Because we started a war, though, Britain's probably a little bit sad, so let's improve relations with them. And the French, they are too, but we can't do much to make them happier. Let's improve with Russia, since it seems Russia is, at least for now, our friend. Prices for iron and coal, despite the upgrades to our construction, are doing just fine. Tools are a bit expensive, but we're taking care of that. Because of this, I'm going to put out 2 more construction sectors in Hokkaido immediately. I think this is going better for us now. Yet another stall. That is a bit unfortunate. I'm going to take the hit to the bureaucracy, though. I kind of would like this to pass. It would be very beneficial if we want to suck some of the population out of our new subject, which isn't a huge priority, but always a nice thing. We will, about by 1890, be running out of manpower in some of our peasants in some of our provinces. Seeing that little pop-up did remind me that we haven't got any conscripts up yet. Should probably work on that one day. It does look like our troops are moving down the Korean Peninsula, even without getting the orders to have a strategic objective down there, so I'm just going to leave them to do that. That is a 5-year expense, and we are burning through money quite a bit because our armies are deployed. I'm not sure I really want to take it for the extra 10%, and we've only got a choice, though, between the two, so we're going to get an expense either way. Let's take the smaller one. I'm financially responsible. Because paper prices aren't that high, I'm going to raise some tax capacity in some of our other provinces. Now, in order to do this properly, I want to make sure I don't increase the admin capabilities in provinces that don't actually have much in the way of tax shortage. So, Chugoku, which doesn't have many administrative centers, can be increased, and Tohoku as well. Alright, paper company, get on top of producing some paper. You can make a lot of good money from that. Our steel mill is almost done. That's going to be good. I know already we're going to probably want at least one more. You know, one thing I forgot to check was whether we still had enough maneuvers to release another country from China. We might have. I don't think so, though. Yeah, we would have needed 30. We definitely did not have 30. Most of you probably think I'm a bit of a fool for not taking more money from them, but we're going to want to leave a little bit of infamy for some other purposes. And again, I don't like free money that's not going to last forever. You make bad decisions then, and when that money disappears, you're very suddenly surprised. This war did go quicker than I expected. They're all ready to make peace. The Koreans are now defiant, but they'll be fine in time. Great, let's get rid of these red pop-ups. I don't like seeing red on my screen. Prussia and France have made peace. Let's see how that went. Didn't go good for Prussia. They failed in their unification war. It is peculiar because Belgium was actually supporting Prussia in that war, and yet they have gotten bigger. I guess sometimes being on the losing side can be beneficial as well. There must have been something else going on that we didn't see. As a result of that, we've got some miners that have also developed in interesting directions, but, let's not pay attention too much here. We have our own things to deal with. In particular, we have to deal with our new subject. I immediately like to lower their payments. We're not in desperate need of money, and they're not giving us that much anyways. It will help get their liberty desire down quicker. I'm also going to exempt them from service. We don't need the help of their armies. If we look now at how their diplomacy, how their liberty desire is doing, it's still going to go up perhaps. Let's click ahead a little bit though and see. Indeed, it's going down actually. No, I was wrong. Yes, I was thinking of the numbers in the wrong direction. It's going down already. We've got nothing to worry about. Things are going to get better and better with them in time. Let's improve relations with them though to make sure that they do. And let's assess our situation now. We've completed the war. Our finances are back in line, so that's good. We've also completed the steel mill up here, as you can see. So let's create some demand for that steel by turning some of our tools to steel production. I could temporarily support that industry as well. Tooling. So that's going to make about 65 steel, which is definitely enough for Kanto. In fact, about right. We'll have Kanto do that, and too many toolings are coming up here. We're going to need another steel mill before we can upgrade Shikoku. When that other steel mill is complete, we'll upgrade both the steel mills to use the Bessemer process. I'm checking out the infrastructure here. Indeed, it is pretty bad actually. Let's check the port up here and make sure it's being subsidized. It is. We're going to have to angle for railways pretty quick. We're going to get another port up here then, and build a steel somewhere else. Let's see where it would be productive. Nowhere in particular, except Kanto, which is doing pretty well. They'll get more productive later. As I said, I usually do end up putting steel in Kanto, and part of the reason is the lack of infrastructure up here until we get railways. I don't like lack of infrastructure at all, so I am going to move that port up to the top. With the exception of finishing these universities, because I really do want those universities done. Once that port is complete, I'll actually move all the Navy ships to the top as well, because we need to get some more ships trained up, lickety-split. You can see as well, we're finally in the top producers of paper, and we're clicking on our progress towards getting craft paper. Let's see exactly how much we're making. We're the number 3 producer, and we are exporting 700 paper. The world likes our paper. That is good. It's going to be hard to get rid of that company, and I may adapt a little bit in the future. We also have a treaty port here now, and it's going to need a lot of trade centers. In fact, in general, we need a lot of trade centers. So, let's see. Right now, they're not asking for a whole lot, but that will change before we know it. All of our other places are demanding quite a few, but as you can see, a lot of that's still imports. We might have to help the private sector out here though. In fact, I'll queue up a bunch right away. Just one in each province. Let's take a look at our trade centers too, and make sure they're on the latest production method, but I don't believe we can upgrade quite yet. Regular trading. Bulk trading will come along pretty soon, and that will solve most of the problems. I think we're getting pretty close to time. I wanted to keep these episodes much more manageable. Dissenters have broken ranks. Let's give them a new draft, because we need some more success chance here if we want this to ever finish. We are clicking forward on the Honorable Restoration now, and hopefully that'll continue. But maybe it won't if we get events that somehow complicate things, such as a new shogun. In particular, I also wanted to check up here though and see what our modifiers are that are still active. We're still dealing with corruption and organized crime, hitting our authority and our bureaucracy. We're also taking a legitimacy hit there of -10, but we're getting a +15 there. So they're going to expire at about the same time, and we're going to go down by 5 on our legitimacy. Let's take a look at how that would hit our government. That's going to get us very close to being illegitimate. We're going to have to try to boost the intelligentsia up a little bit. All right, let's check out this new leader who is a child and who is hitting our authority very badly. We can immediately maybe shut down one of our decrees here before we even go to that screen so we don't have to come back. No more greener grasses for Shikoku. I think as well we're going to have to stop boosting or suppressing a movement because we can't really change our taxes right now. Our finances are fine, but I kind of like them where they are and I don't want them to get worse. So let's stop suppressing this movement and hope that it doesn't hit us later. Actually, let's stop supporting this movement very briefly, but then right when our cultural law passes, we'll swap this out to support modernization and to not care about the supremacists anymore. Because I find ignoring fascists is always the best solution. It never comes back to haunt you. Great. Let's see then. I said we were going to look at our new leader. They are indeed a child, a traditionalist, and a monk. I'm rather quick to get rid of this guy if I can. But that will only happen if we complete the restoration. He's awfully young. I doubt that there is going to be some tragedy in childhood that puts him off the throne. I'm going to take a quick look at my clock and see how we are doing. We actually do have more time if I want to stick to my kind of standard 42 minutes, but 32 minutes isn't bad. I'm going to slowly move the time forward so that more stuff finishes. Except, it looks like our sulfur has finished as well. Indeed it has, and we're supporting that and losing some money because we're not actually using much sulfur for our industries. Let's make some more paper and see if we can then export even more paper as well. Getting rid of some of the pop-ups. Allowing a little bit of time to click by, let's look at our paper once more. And see if we can upgrade one of the smaller productions. Oh, we did already upgrade Kanzai. I didn't realize that. Oh, in fact, I must have accidentally upgraded them all. How is the sulfur supply looking then in that case is one of the things you have to ask. Not even bad at all. We must have balanced it perfectly. My God, I never cease to impress myself. Alright, we're slowly clicking forward so that I can just conclude the episode. We're building up these universities, and that will really help us with our tech progress. And we are also then going to get these domestic things up. On the international scene, people are a little bit more cautious of us, but the British have already forgotten. I think we want to leave our interests in the regions that we declared, but we've got a few extra because, and I guess I didn't mention this, we became a great power. We're even the number 6 great power. I sometimes think there should be a lot more bells and whistles around this event. Let's pop down an interest down here because this is going to be a direction we want to look later. And what we really should do now is look at our trading screen and figure out who's buying most of our paper and make sure that we have interests there, because that will give us a further advantage in their market. Let's look at the market and look at our trade. Paper seems to be going to these countries. That's pretty widespread, gonna make it hard to focus down. The Prussians and the British seem to be taking the most, followed by the French. Yeah, nope, the French are taking even more. Whoop. Let's let this little circle go. The Austrians, Americans not much, Dutch, East Indies. Interesting. All right, that's we're gonna get something down there in a second, so we will have some more advantage there. And the Dutch itself are doing okay, so we can keep that interest there. But it seems like we want to focus down a little bit more on making sure we have interests in the Prussian market, the British market, and the French market. I'm guessing the American market might get more profitable later, so if we have any extra, we'll maybe pop down something in America. Let's declare an interest then in their market capitals. I'm 99% certain that to get the trade advantage, you needed the interest in their market capital, not just in some territory that they happen to touch. I've checked this before, and I am pretty sure that I confirmed it when I was checking it, but sometimes you do get things wrong. We do have some extra interest, so I am going to pop down one in America and see if we export more paper to them in the future. I think we'll just save the last two right now because I don't really want to think about it. I would like the construction even higher, to be honest. Another 40 would be great. And if we look at our tools, they're fine, iron's fine, coal is fine, it's all fine. Everything is splendid. Let's get those last two in Hokkaido to balance out all of our iron regions to having the same amount of construction sectors. And let's speed the clock around as I wind this off. Now, the thing I did not get to do, unfortunately, was clicky click. Okay, maybe I will turn this off. A couple new interests, and then all of a sudden we get a lot of pop-ups. Racism event, we won't even think about it. I did not get to liberate Formosa, which I really do like to do. Then I can either improve peacefully with them and offer to make them a protectorate, and when they decline, make them a protectorate nonetheless, or I can just take it directly. We'll have to do that in the next war. Then our target will be the Philippines. They make an excellent fourth partner in addition to Korea and Formosa to our power block, which we would want to found about right now. The universities are almost done, and the port has finished, which means I actually want to do what I said I would do and pop all my naval ships to the top of the queue. Naval ships finish quick, but they take a while to man up, so good to get them done now so we can get on the next round of naval ships. At the bottom of our list then, because we're starting to be a bit more aggressive and not making so many friends, we're going to want an artillery foundry. Once that artillery foundry is complete, we would be pausing construction completely, I promise, and letting the private sector catch up while we just toss in a few artillery units every chance we get. Still clicking on the honorable restoration, which is nice, but this cultural exclusion is taking quite some time to pass. As soon as the ships are done, I'll probably call this episode done. And they are done, as are all of the universities. And our law has progressed to consideration, a good sign. I think this will pass perfectly well. In that case, as much as I'd like to continue right now, because I'm always worried that maybe this ends up being the last episode, we'll wrap up. And we'll wrap up by pausing the game as well. Maybe at the end of the year though. Yeah, let's do that. We still have some infamy, quite a bit, and we can't really get rid of it. We can't really declare rivals yet either, because I'm not really comfortable with our military situation, even if it is actually okay. On January 1st, we'll call this episode done. I know we could improve more relations with people, but I don't really want to do that because we need the extra influence. Extra influence leads to your infamy to decay faster. Yay, we have quinine, which we have absolutely no use for. Let's see what spreads next. Central banking. Well, more money is good. And as you can see, our money is burning a little bit quicker than I thought we would. But we'll get that all back pretty soon when we pause construction. What's left on the list will finish very quickly actually, because trade centers build very fast, as does fishing. It makes me very tempted to actually see that out. Our military leader has retired, and our agitator has died. Or maybe it was just the agitator dying. Which agitator was that? That was the land reformer. That's okay, we don't really need them. Let's take a quick look here at how this is going. The supremacist movement is doing just fine at keeping down. I think I can stop suppressing them because I'm a bit sad at how weak the modernization movement is getting. And speaking of supremacists, a -7 standard of living modifier for the Han. Wow. Unfortunately, I can't take the authority hit because we've already stripped down our authority pretty bad due to the new child shogun. And it's only -5 either. That's not a lot better. These modifiers do expire, and it doesn't tell you when they expire. You kind of have to go on here to see that. -1, -7. In my opinion, they stack a bit too many of these, a bit too quick. That means these people are at -8 living standard. I'm surprised they're alive at all at that point. So as I was going to say, we've lost the honorable restoration. Our legitimacy has indeed declined. It's down to 48. Pause. Oh, I hit it perfectly. January 1st. Let's end the episode. Getting rid of our pop-ups. I want to take a quick look at the samurai and see if we did indeed get a new leader. No, I don't think so. I think that's the same one. No, maybe not. We'll never know, shall we? It's not like I have a save I could go back to check. He is a moderate. That's alright. Alright, in this episode, in the minute I have remaining, we did a well-rounded approach to expansion of our universities, expansion of our construction sectors, and expansion of our territory, though that territory is taken in the form of a subject other than a very small treaty port. We did have to manipulate the war a little bit because, as you can see, by event, Russia has acquired this territory, and that happened during a aborted playthrough while the war was ongoing, and I lost my war goal. We did not, therefore, get to release Formosa. We're also presently working on just wrapping up a few amenities for the people and helping support the private sector with some trade centers, but that'll be finished in just a few months. Once cultural exclusion is done, we'll be able to move on to some other laws, in particular thinking about getting rid of democracy, or getting rid of autocracy and moving towards democracy, or, should you feel so inspired, technocracy. We'll talk about that if we continue this another time. But when this is done, I would actually first take care of some of the low-hanging fruit, like getting off peasant levies. We need a slightly better military now that we're out in the world and being a little bit more active on that scene. We're very close as well to finally finishing dialectics, in which case we'll be able to upgrade a few more of our administrative centers and get that education institution up to 3 so we can implement the Terracotta system and get technology research speed boost for 10 years. With that, let's wrap up this epilogue/prologue, and I thank you if you decided to join me for this, for humoring my desire to do some more playthroughs. I hope I get to do more in the near future. If you'd like to see that, try to encourage me in whatever way you feel appropriate. Until then, take care of yourselves. Ciao.